slide line. Line, 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 line. Line, 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 line. Line, 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 line. Line, line, line.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Welcome to Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center.
Woo, Shabbat
we
Shalom.
are here to celebrate a couple of things, a couple of very important things. One, it's Shabbat. And I don't know about you, but I sure could use one after this week.
Yeah.
It's been a busy week. Some good things happened, some terrible things happened, some regular week things happened. And in any case, it's good to move into the holiness of Shabbat together. We're also celebrating something that's taken a little bit longer to prepare for, and that is our friend Rosa Nicely becoming Bat Mitzvah. So Mazel Tov to the Nicely and Spector families, many of whom are in the chapel right now. As we are moving into this multi-access world, you've noticed that we've had a B'nai Mitzvah or two where our celebrant families are here with us in the sanctuary. We also wanted to make sure that all of our families, for their own comfort, also had the option of being in the chapel if they wish to. And so let's go to the chapel right now and see who's there. I ain't lying, it's Rosa Nicely, Mazel Tov, and there's her family, there's Brett and Jill and everybody, and we're so glad to see y'all. And so we're going to be celebrating there. Rosa's going to be helping us to lead services somewhat tonight and more thoroughly tomorrow as well. So make sure you tune in for that. Before we get started, a couple of PSAs, a couple of public synagogue announcements. This is a musical community, so feel free to join in with us as we make music. We're going to make music no matter what. But it's your opportunity to jump in. If you know the tune, if you kind of know the tune, if you want to know the tune, feel free to hum, feel free to tap on whatever percussive things are around you. Take out your trombone, you do you. You will have a better experience of the service if you give that a try. And also we have a prayer book. These are all from handy. If you're in Zoom and you don't have one of these, you can probably link to a virtual version in the chat. We have the Siddur Sim Shalom for Shabbat and festivals, and it's certainly one of those. In a moment, we're going to be starting on, let's see, what page are we starting? We start on page 13. Like I said, it's Shabbat. Also, for the folks who are here, we really appreciate everybody keeping your masks on for the duration of the service, and so that everybody can be here comfortably and safely. We highly encourage schmoozing, and when it's time to schmooze, try it under the stars, out where the peacocks can see you. Feel free to schmooze outdoors after the service. So with that, we are going to begin to approach Shabbat with this traditional song where we are welcoming in the angels who escort us throughout Shabbat, and they come in and they bless us, and after Shabbat they go on their way. And what do we say to them? We say hello in Hebrew. We say Shalom Aleichem, and that's on page 13. Page 13. Please join us.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Amlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu LaShalom Malachei Shalom Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzechem LaShalom Malachei Hashalom Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
increase the sound in our sanctuary here. We also increase the light in our homes and in our hearts and in the chapel where we're going to go right now, where the family is going to be lighting the Shabbat candles. I'd like to invite up Ruthie Spector and Bonnie Nicely and Jill and Spector and Rosa Nicely are going to be lighting the Shabbat candles together. And I understand that Ruthie has a little story about those candlesticks.
Your mom, come up. Get on camera. Rosa, where are you? These candlesticks they were from Rosa's great-great-great-grandmother, who gave them to her daughter-in-law in 1905, and the date's on the bottom. And that woman who received them as a gift from her wedding had her third child was Rose King Spector, who Rosa is actually named after for her Hebrew name, Razel Alana. And so they're really old. They're like one of the oldest things we have in our family.
Beautiful.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvoso v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbos.
Amen. Shabbat Shalom.
Beautifully done. We now, as I say, are rising out of the mundane, the humdrum, the everyday of the week into the holiness of Shabbat. And one thing that helps us rise is song, is the psalms and the poems of Kabbalat Shabbat, beginning with our first rung on the ladder of song, Lechu Neranena, on page 15.
Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Adonai. Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Adonai. Nadia, Nadia, Letzur Ishenu, Nekama Fanav Betoda. Nadia, Nadia, Letzur Ishenu, Bismirot Nadia Lo. Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Adonai. Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Adonai. Ki el gadol Adonai hu melech gadol al kol Elohim asher yamech asher yavasam. ואנחנו אומר איתו הימים אשר ניסו ללעותך ארבעים שנה אקוט ודור ואומר אמתועי לבבם והם לא ידעו דרכי אשר נשבעתי להביא אם יבואון אל מנוחתי.
Page 16.
יא אליי, יא אליי, יא אליי, שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני, כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני, ברכו שמו, מסרו מיום ליום, ישועתו ספרו בגויים, כבודו לכל העמים, נפלאותיו כי גדול אדוני.
Page 22, Lacha Dodi.
לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה. Try that again. לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה. תבושי ולא תקרלי ומה תשתוכחי ומה תמי ומך יחסו אני הימי ונבנתה גדלתי לה together. לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה. והיו לי משיסה שורסייך ורחקו כל מבלייך יסיס עלייך אלוהייך כמסוס חתן על כלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. ימין ושמאל תפרוצי ואת אדוני תריצי על יד איש בן פרצי ונשמחה ונגילה. לך לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה בואי ושלום עטרת ועלה גם בשמחה ובצולה תוך אמוני העם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה
You may be seated. We now go to page 23. Page 23. Now is a time where we share a special psalm designated just for Shabbat, and it's my honor to call on Sophia Losada in the chapel, who's going to lead us in a psalm for Shabbat on page 23. Page 23.
It is good to acclaim Adonai, to sing your praise, exalted God.
To affirm your love each morning and your faithfulness each night, to the music of the lute and the melody of the harp.
Your works, Adonai, make me glad. I sing with joy of your creation.
How vast your works, Adonai! Your designs are beyond our grasp.
The thoughtless cannot comprehend, the foolish cannot fathom this.
The wicked may flourish, springing up like grass, but their doom is sealed, for you are supreme forever.
Your enemies, Adonai, your enemies shall perish, all the wicked shall crumble.
But me you have greatly exalted. I am anointed with fragrant oil. I have seen the downfall of my foes. I have heard the despair of my attackers.
The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree. They shall grow tall like a cedar in Lebanon, planted in the house of Adonai. They will thrive in the courts of our God.
They shall bear fruit even in old age. They shall be ever fresh and fragrant, to proclaim Adonai is just, my rock in whom there is no flaw.
Yeshkach, well done. Thank you so much. And now, if everybody will stay on page 23 and look at the facing page 23, we would like to share a song with the same theme.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עצור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון וכינור. שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. כי שימחתני אדוני בפועלך, במעשה ידך, במעשה ידך ארנן. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני, מעולם קומה מחשבותיך. מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני, מעולם קומה מחשבותיך. יא אלוהי 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 אלוהי, יא אלוהי אלוהי אלוהי, יא אלוהי אלוהי אלוהי. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Good to have you here at PJTC for Shabbat and also celebrating our good friend Rosa becoming Bat Mitzvah. You'll have to excuse me, I stepped out earlier. I have a frog in my throat, and it's not even Passover, so that's not fair. As many of you know, I have school-age children, which means my kids are back in summer camp. And like summer camp, there are things, I don't know about you, but there are things I'm doing now for the first time in like 15 months. Has anybody had that experience recently where you're doing things for the first time in 15 months? Like being here, like going to a restaurant, or in my case, like having a cold. I haven't had a cold in 15 months, but like I said, I have school-age children, and now they're going back to camp, which means I have a cold. Well, I had a cold, so it's on its way out. So please forgive me if I speak softly or sing badly. I'll probably still be singing badly next week. In any case, I'm really glad that you're here, and I'm just trying to look on the bright side of things. This is possibly my favorite parsha in the Torah this week. And I know I say that about a lot of parshiot. But don't tell the other ones. Balak is it. And this one means a lot to me personally. And I know that Rosa felt a lot of pressure studying Balak with me, because she knows it's my favorite Torah portion. So much history with Balak that she was hard-pressed to come up with a really profound teaching. Spoiler alert, she did. And it was something that I never thought of before, which was all the more so a wonderful teaching. You'll have to tune in at 9:30 tomorrow for that one. But this one means something personally to me because it is the first Torah portion that I ever gave a Devar Torah on. It was, well, gosh, it was about 12 years ago. It was my last summer living in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Don't be jealous. Right before I moved to Los Angeles. And my rabbi said, hey, you're about to go to rabbinical school. I think you should have some practice. How about this summer, you give a Devar Torah. You give the sermon that day. Now, at the time, I was honored. I was blown away. I had no idea that this was how the rabbi got to go on vacation, by asking people to give sermons for him. But that's okay, because what my rabbi didn't know when he said, I think I'd like you to speak on Parashat Balak, is that this is also my dad's favorite parsha. And if you know my story, if you know my dad didn't talk about parshas. My dad was a minister of another tradition. And he kept sermons. In fact, he kept my great-great-grandfather's sermons as well. And he said the favorite sermon he ever gave was on Parashat Balak, was on the story of Balaam, and how Balaam, who, while he was on his way to, let's say, a secret mission to put a curse on the Jewish people, was stopped by a talking donkey. And the donkey said, are you sure we should, there's danger in doing this? And what Balaam didn't say was, hey, it's a talking donkey. No, he said, why shouldn't I go? He didn't question the fact that it was a talking donkey. But my father gave his drasha on that this means we should always be careful to be aware of the truth wherever it comes from. And sometimes it can come from some strange places. So this was my father's favorite parsha. This was my favorite parsha because of that, and it was the first one that I ever gave a sermon on. And I shared that with Rosa just to tell her how special this week was to me. What occurred to me this particular week was, again, we find truth in strange places. Sometimes it surprises you by coming from someplace unexpected, like a talking donkey, but sometimes it surprises you by sneaking up on you from something you see every single day. Sometimes something stares you in the face every single day, and you don't know the lesson that it has to teach until that shining moment when you do. And in this particular case, there are, in some circles, folks who, when they go into Jewish prayer spaces, every day, the first thing they say is, Ma tovu ochalecha Yaakov. Usually sing it. Ma tovu ochalecha Yaakov. How beautiful are your tents, Jacob. And when you do things every day, it just becomes a habit. That's the tune that tunes me up for praying in the morning. And then this year, I learned a particular drasha on this phrase. I always thought it was beautiful, not just because it's talking about beautiful tents, but because it's not even one of our people complimenting us. It's Balaam. It's somebody who was not only not Jewish, but hired by somebody to curse us. And when he does, he opens his mouth, and all he can say is, man, this is a beautiful people. And the rabbis look at this particular line, Mato, what does he mean tents? What's so great about tents? Tents are, canvas and portable, and these are things when you live in when you don't have so much. Why is it so great to have beautiful tents? And they said what Balaam noticed about our tents was their arrangement. And not just their architecture and how well designed they were, but how they faced. In the Talmud it says that the tents were faced so that they sort of alternated, so that no entrance was looking into any other entrance. Right? This one had the entrance this way, the next one had the entrance that way, the next one had the entrance that way. So that nobody could accidentally see into somebody else's tent. There's a phrase, not such a Jewish phrase, but we'll take it nonetheless. Good fences make good neighbors. How do we maintain peace among our people? By not prying into each other's business. By respecting each other's privacy and each other's modesty. And this created, for the most part, a peaceful people, which is necessary when you're struggling with going through the wilderness for 40 years. Anything you can do to keep the peace is a good idea. And so they poskin law on this. We should respect one another's privacy. We should maintain modesty in our homes, modesty in our dress, modesty in our speech. But I'll go one step deeper. On another level, my absolute favorite part of this absolute favorite parsha is that in trying to get Balaam to curse us, Balak tried everything. He tried silver and gold. First, he thought just because he was a king, he could use his stature to impress on Balaam. I would like you to go curse this people for me, because I'm the king and I said so. Isn't it nice you got an invitation for the king? And he said, no, thank you. He said, how about a house full of silver and gold? He said, I'll sleep on it. When he finally convinced Balaam to come and curse us, Balaam took stock, Balaam thought better, and Balaam blessed us instead. And then Balak tried his last gambit. He said, well, you were looking at the nice part of the encampment of Yisrael. How about you look over here? And he takes him over here. And Balaam blessed us. How about look over here? This is not the not so nice part. And Balaam blessed us. And Balak took him over to, they said, the hind part of the camp. The place where the slowest of us, the sickest of us, the place where they kept the latrines and the garbage. And they said, why don't you just look at this part and see if you can muster up a curse? And Balaam couldn't do it. When he saw the whole of what we represented, he knew that we were worthy of blessing. And in giving us this story, the Torah recognizes it's easy to look under somebody's tent and find something wrong with them. It's easy to look at one small part of someone's life or someone's behavior and saying the whole of that person is a scoundrel and unworthy of my attention. That's why, to get our attention, God put the blessing of the people in the mouth of the one least likely to give it, so that we remember when we're having an argument with somebody that we love, or maybe don't love so much. We can say, all right, now I'm mad. I don't like that one particular habit of theirs, or I'm mad about this one thing that they said. But if I'm honest, if I take the totality of the person, the totality of our relationship, I have to count my blessings. And so as we move through the coming week, maybe if you're tempted to curse somebody or tempted to grumble because your kid brought a cold back from camp, it happens. Think, my kid's in camp. That's a miracle. I don't like covering my face. I had my vaccination. What's the big deal? We're together. That's amazing. I don't like this or that or the way that we used to do services that we don't do anymore. We're still here. So when you're tempted to curse, step back. Look at the whole of the person, the process, the institution, the people. And I bet you'll find what to bless. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you again for joining us at PJTC for Shabbat and for the Bat Mitzvah celebration of Rosa, which we should probably get back to. So let's go to the chapel, and if you've got one of these books, or even if you don't, turn to page 28. Actually, it will make sense if you have one of the books. Turn to page 28, and we rise for our call to blessing, the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai Mevorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed. U'ma'avir Yom u'me'avir Laila. U'mavdil be'odim u'me'avir Laila. Adonai Tzebaot Shemo al Chavekayam Hamid Yamlich Aleinu Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Ata Adonai.
Baruch Baruch Shemo.
No, oh wait. Hama'ariv Ha'arivim.
Amen.
You may be seated as we continue on page 29, Avat Olam.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת עמך אהבת תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכרנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה, נהגה יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל.
Go to the chapel where Rosa will lead us in the Shema on page 30.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
We continue at the bottom of page 30 at your own pace, and we'll get back together in just a moment. Bahayam Shemati Shema Mitzvotah. We join together as Rosa leads us at the top of page 31, page 31.
ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל, ואמרת עליהם, ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף פתיל תכלת, והיה לכם לציצית, וראיתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני, ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם, למען תזכרו, ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת ואמונה כל הזאת.
We're at the top of page 32, page 32.
זכות ורצון לנו עליהם, שום מלמון ישמחה לשיר לשמחה רבה. Let's join together in the middle of the page with מי כמוך.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נור התהילות אוסף אלה, נור התהילות אוסף אלה. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נור התהילות אוסף אלה, נור התהילות אוסף אלה. מלכות אחריו ברך, וכהים לפני משה ומרים. זה לי, זה לי, אנו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך, אדוני ימלוך, לעולם האל. ונאמר, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני,
Baruch Shemo.
גאל ישראל.
Amen. We turn to page 33 and we go back to the chapel, where it's an honor to call up Robbie Losada and Abby Poole, who will be leading us in the Hashki Venu on page 33. Page 33.
Protect us with your gift of peace by helping us to overcome temptation.
When we are weak, sustain us. When we despair, open our hearts to joy.
Shelter us in your embrace of peace when we are caught by conflict or desire.
When we are torn, heal us. When we are tormented, touch us with tranquility.
Cherish our fragmented lives. Make our lives whole again through integrity.
When we deceive, turn us to you. When we corrupt, capture our hearts anew.
Protect us from ourselves. When we falter, help us to conquer the enemy within.
When we blunder, restore us with compassion. Teach us that peace is based on your truth.
Yasher koach, yasher koach.
שמור צאתנו בואנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם. ברוך אתה אדוני,
ברוך שמו.
ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. ברוך אתה אדוני, הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים.
Amen. Page 34. Page 34.
שם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם לברית עולם. אוי 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 ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש.
We go to the chapel on page 34 for Hatzi Kaddish.
Yikado v'yikadesh shemei Rabbah
אמן.
Belmadira chirute v'yamlich malchute
וחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב וימנו אמן. יהי שמרה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה יתברך.
Yipara v'yishtava v'yipar v'yitrama v'yinaseh v'yithadar v'yitale v'yithala shemei dekudesha
בריחו
le'ela minko birchata v'shirata
תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירם בעלמה.
v'imu
Amen.
We rise and face the ark for the Amidah for Shabbat evening on page 35b. This is a private Amidah. You take time for the words from our tradition on the page, or whatever words are in your heart. When you're finished with your own prayer, you may be seated and we'll get back together in a couple of moments.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. ואמרו, אמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. ואמרו, אמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
We conclude this prayer with the Kaddish Shalem on page 48. Rosa will lead us in the chapel on page 48.
Yikadami Kadesh Meraba
Amen.
Bilmadi Rachute Viamli Malchute Bechaya Honav Yomehun Uvchaya Bechol Beit Israel Bagala Vizman Kari Vimru.
Amen. Yehi Shmeraba Mevorach Leolam Uleolamei Olmaya Yitbarach.
Yitbarach Yishtavat Vitpa'ar Vitramam Vitnase Vithadar Vithale Vithalal Shemedi Kudasha
Brichu.
Le'ela Miko Birhata Vashirata Tushbehata Venechemata Da'amiram Belma Vimru.
Amen.
Titkabel Tzilot Honavot Hondecho Yisrael Kadam Avochon Divishmaya Vimru.
Amen.
Yehi Shalom Rabbi Min Shemaya Vechaim Alenu Belko Yisrael Vimru.
Amen. Ose shalom במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל.
Amen. Yasher Koach, we stay in the chapel where Bonnie Nicely will be opening the ark for the Aleinu. We rise and face the ark for Aleinu on page 51. Page 51.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגון עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. על כן נקווה לך אדוני אלוהינו ולעד מלך תפארת כי המלכות שלך היא, ולעולמי עד תמלוך בכבוד, ככתוב את תורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו אחד.
Please remain standing in the chapel as Bonnie closes the ark. The ark is closed. You may be seated. Even as we gather in joy, it is perhaps now we most acutely remember those who are no longer with us. Here at PJTC in the coming week, we are marking the Yahrzeit, the anniversary of the passing of Benjamin Kleckner, Bessie Miller, Celia Myers, Charles Collin, David Allen, Edith Lichterman, Ernest Klein, Erwin Brown, Fanny Feinsod, Florence Brewert, Frida Brightman, Gerald Browning, Harry Adelston, Harry Feinsod, Irving Feiger, Jack Ardman, Jack Candle, Jose Procupez, Lena Berman, Louis Marks, Lynn Mazer, Sally Tyree, Martin Zelenka, Maurice Cohen, Michael Engel, Morris Mandel, Nuda Glickman, Oscar Medina, Oscar Stern, Peter Richmond, Robert Friedman, Rose Roth, Sally Gottfeld, Samuel Center, Sarah Bessie Roth, Stella Rose Breyer, Vivian Kugler, William Meltzer, and Yetta Siegel. It is also my sad duty to announce that our community is mourning the loss of longtime member Catherine Anderson, wife of Paul, mother of Veronica Neal, and former secretary to our Rabbi Gil Collin. Catherine passed away last week on June 18th. The funeral will be held on Monday, June 28th at Rose Hills. We pray that Catherine's memory be a blessing. Hamakom Yerachem. May God comfort and strengthen the family at this time. I'll ask that if you have another name that you'd like to lift up in honor at this time, please hold their name in your heart or say it out loud wherever you are. And if you're in mourning for anyone or observing a Yahrzeit, please rise for the Kaddish Tome, the Mourner's Kaddish on page 52, page 52. Let's pray together. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah.
Amen.
V'alma divra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon u'v'yomechon uv'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael b'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru. Amen.
Yehi shmei rabba mevorach leolam ulolmei olmai yitbarach.
Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, huya aseh shalom, aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. If you're standing, you may be seated. We move from kavod to simcha, from honor to joy. At this occasion of Rosa becoming bat mitzvah, we have several gifts in store for her. And if we go to the chapel, she might be able to find that goodie bag full of gifts there. It should be very sparkly.
Yeah, actually, Mom is going to help her.
Okay, great.
With those.
So in just a moment,
packages.
we're going to have several presentations, one on behalf of our USY, on behalf of our sisterhood, and also on behalf of our men's club. First, we're going to go to Sophia Maneker, who I believe is here on Zoom. Sophia will be presenting on behalf of the USY, our youth group. There she is.
Hi, Rosa. I'm Sophia, and I am speaking on behalf of the USY board. I am here to present you with the Behol Ahad. The Behol Ahad is a songbook used for both Slowach and Ruach at USRI regional events. Slowach, which is calm and reflective, is the opposite of Ruach, which is filled with energy and enthusiasm. Hopefully, you'll get to experience one of these regional events in person someday. Ever since I've known you, I have noticed that if there is something that you believe in, you're very enthusiastic about it. Enthusiasm is one thing that is very important with Ruach because it helps get everyone energized when singing these fun songs. I hope you have a great day tomorrow, and I know you'll do amazing.
Yashikak, Sophia, well done. It is now my honor to call upon Ellen Pace, who is going to be making a presentation on behalf of the PJTC Sisterhood. She's on her way, folks.
All right, I'm checking to see, right? You're good. Okay, beautiful. Rosa, Yasher Koach to you and your family. I'm so happy to be here tonight, standing here on behalf of Sisterhood, celebrating you at your bat mitzvah. I've had the fun of watching you grow into the really talented young woman standing here, in Nell Chapel tonight. You are so creative and caring. I wanted to wear that wonderful tie-dye shirt, but I had no skirt or anything to wear with it. But I cherish your creativity and your drive and your determination. You are a true and loyal friend and a really good daughter and a pretty wonderful sister too. You've worked really, really hard for this moment. And like everything else you do, you made it your own. You did it your own way, true to yourself. And I know that your parents and family are felling with pride, as I am too. And so it is my great pleasure to present you with a Kiddush cup from Sisterhood and hope that you will celebrate many, many more joyful Shabbats in the years ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. And now, doing double duty this evening, Sean Surface has been here on behalf of our Safety and Security Task Force, greeting people and welcoming people in, and he is also here on behalf of the PJTC Men's Club to present something to Rosa as well.
Good. Shabbat Shalom. Rosa, you're doing an amazing job. It wasn't very long ago when my own daughter, Millie, was up there. She's just 14. We missed you by 1 year. She was in the Key to Zion last year. So I know how hard you've been working, and I'm sorry that I don't know you. It's always weird to have somebody come up and start talking about you and praising you when they don't really even know you. But I did hear a couple things about you that reminded me of Millie. For one, you're into fashion. I could see from your ponytails tonight that you're looking pretty cool. Like myself, you like the Vampire Diaries. I got to tell you, though, there's no Jewish vampires because they can't work on a Friday night after sunset, so it doesn't work out for them. So you have to choose another little, maybe go to Harry Potter or something. I'm presenting you with the Yad tonight, and you know that the Yad is about not touching the Torah, but it's also about supporting your hand and while you're reading the Torah and while you're reading the Word of God. And if you look around you, your family's all there supporting you. And what you can do is when things start to get rough over the years, you look at that Yad and you remember that it supported you. It supported you today. It'll support you tomorrow. It can always be that kind of image of support. And that's kind of what the Men's Club is about too, is supporting the temple and supporting you in your endeavors. So Mazel tov on this day, and I wish you the best in the future.
Thank you.
Yashkoach, Sean. And now it is, parting is such sweet sorrow. So let's not part right away. Let's first close our service as we began it, and that is enjoy a song. But don't go anywhere. I'm gonna ask you to please rise because singing sounds better, or at least feels better when you're standing up if you can. please join us. But when we're done, make sure you stick around for Kiddush, would you please?
עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו והכולם. עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו והכולם. שלום עלינו והכל העולם, סלם, שלום. שלום עלינו והכל העולם, שלום, שלום. עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו והכולם. עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו והכולם. שלום עלינו והכל העולם, שלום, שלום. שלום עלינו והכל העולם, שלום, שלום. שבת שלום.
Good Shabbos, everybody. If you'll direct your attention to the screen, we got some announcements of all the wonderful things that are going on at the PJTC this coming week. If you're participating at home, please grab a glass of something to celebrate with and meet us right back here for Kiddush.
So, if you are in the Nile Chapel, I'm going to ask you to please gather your Kiddush cups. And even though I will be leading the Kiddush, it will be great to see the family and everyone else, all the people who are there, if you want to gather up on the...
Make sure Rosa gets the big cup.
Yes, Rosa needs to get the big cup.
Let's go to the chapel.
We will go to the chapel in a moment.
There we
you
go. Excellent.
In the meantime,
Outstanding.
let's join together. ויהי ערב ויהי בוקר יום השישי, ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישפוט ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי, ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו, אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. Raise your cups. ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן. ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו, ושבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה וראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר לציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת עם כל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת לחיים.
Alrighty, those who wish to wash, wash as you wish. If you don't have one of these washing things in front of you, I'll do it. I'll be thinking about you while I take care of it here. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al netilat yadayim.
Amen. And back to the chapel, I understand we have a phenomenal challah there. Cool. Okay, Rosa, I need you to be front and center and lift up the challah with everyone else. You don't, well, whatever. You can lift up just the challah. You're going to eat it. Okay, you guys ready for the blessing? Loud and clear.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lehem min haaretz.
Amen. Take a little piece for all of us. And Shabbat Shalom. Enjoy a little bit of kibbutzing, and we'll see you soon.
Good Shabbos, everybody. Thank you for being here at PJTC. Mazel tov to the Nicely and the Spector family and the whole darn mishpacha that's in that room. And thanks, everybody, for being here. I highly encourage you to schmooze under the stars.